अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So now for the invocation verse, Chaitanyam Sarvagam Sarvam Sarvabhuta Guhashayam Yat Sarva Vishayatitam Tasmai Sarva Vidhe Namaha. So we are starting to see the third verse. I think we saw, but we'll just revise it again. Naustasya pratilomyena naghanam gamanam yatha Naustasya pratilomyena naghanam gamanam yatha Atmana samshuddhistadvat dhyayati iva shrutihi vadati. So dhyayati hi shrutihi vadati. So you should add the word vadati. Means Shruti says. Dhyayati hi shrutihi vadati. So here an example is given about a tree. So a tree which seems to be moving. Gamanam, the word gamanam you see there, that word means gamanam means the movement. And naganam, it means the trees. Na gacchati iti nagaha naganam. That which does not move. See, the trees does not move in reality because it is always fixed in a particular place. And neither the mountains move also. So the tree doesn't move, the mountain doesn't move. And that's why the Himalaya is called Nagadiraj. So Nagadiraj means the king of the mountains, the king of Nagadiraj. So the king of the mountains who does not move is also called Naganam. So the Gamanam, the movement, the trees move itself is a contradiction because the tree does not move or the mountain does not move at all. So the movement is something, a superimposition. Movement is something which is superimposition. Just as we superimpose the body, mind, sense complex on the Atma. See, Atma does not move like the tree. But the Atma seems to be moving due to the association of the body, mind, sense complex. So whenever there's a movement, we mistake the movement to be the Atma. Likewise, when you travel, in a boat. So when you travel in a boat, so naugastasya means, so the word nautasya means naukaha, a boat. So just as you are in the boat, and in the boat when you are traveling, the tree seems to be going in the opposite direction. So you seem to be seeing the trees are moving. Or you are crossing the trees. But when the boat stops, the tree also stops moving. Again, when the boat starts to go, the tree also starts to move. So this movement of the tree, starting and stopping, is only an appearance. It is not the truth. So, pratilomyaha ena. So, pratilomyaha ena means what? Opposite direction. Anilomaha means in the same direction, and pratilomyaha means going in the opposite direction. So this movement seems to be itself a contradiction. It is a wrong perception. So whenever you start on a wrong note or a wrong starting point, your end also will be wrong, correct? You cannot say that I'll correct myself going along the way, because your starting itself is wrong. Sometimes when you start writing some theory or some paper, something, we know that we start writing and we know that, my God, the start itself is wrong. So what do? You check out the paper, start again. But if you continue to do the same thing, like in the exams, sometimes the answer, you read the question, right? Like in when you are studying for school, etc. The answer will be very tricky. The question itself will be framed such a way that it will make you think that it is like this. And if you don't read the question 2 or 3 times, we are always told to what in the exam? Read the question not once. Read the question 3 times at least, and slowly understand what the question talks about. Then you start writing the answer, addressing the question one by one. So the objective is to break the question and then understand it. But if your starting point itself is wrong, the assumption itself is wrong, then all subsequent answers you are providing is also wrong. So here also, this naganam, which is the trees, gamanam, I mean the movement which is attributed to the trees itself is wrong concept. So when somebody thinks, the example tree and the mountain is given here as an analogy for the Atma, which is seen to be moving, chalati. How? Because of the association of the Atma with the mind, the Atma is mistaken as the mind, and then like the mind continues to do all the actions, and one continues to make the errors. So the Atma is moving. Mind is, because the mind keeps moving, right? The mind keeps moving, Atma seems to also be moving. So this is the error in perception. So it's called pratilomyaha. So pratiloma means going in the opposite direction. So everybody is going in this direction, you go in the reverse direction. So tadvat, same way, tadvat, atmana samshutihi. See, samshutihi, the word indicates janmam and maranam, or erroneous notion. Samshutihi, atmanaha samshutihi tadvat. So tadvat means in the same way. What way? Just as the trees are being imagined and the mountains are imagined to be moving, pratilomyaha, the same way, atmana samshutihi. So this is how we think, but it is not the truth. Or any assumption you make about yourself, you are superimposing on the Atma, which is not that. Example, I am a man, I am a woman, I am this ahankara, or any of the things which you make yourself is only a notion. And the notion is not going to affect the Atma. But the notion will make you a samsari. So Atmana samshutihi means this janma and maranam, this notion will continue to be with you forever. The irony behind it is, when the boat stops, you take a look at the trees and you already know that the tree does not move at all. The same tree was there. Another tree is there. Not the same tree. Some other tree is there and the tree is already gone behind. And you can see the tree is still, you are still, the boat is still, everything is still. Right? Again, when the boat starts to move, the mind starts to move again. So I am moving. Boat is moving. Tree is moving. So all these vrittis come into existence, correct? The same vrittis were not existing when it was steady. So the movement of the tree, the vritti is a vritti. Movement of the boat is a vritti. All of them get superimposed, and then you get a notion that I am moving, tree is moving, everything is moving. So it's an example given. The same way, when we are doing actions, the action is interpreted as action done by the Atma. Because it is physically moving. Actions are being done physically. There is an activity, there's a transformation, things moving. Same way also, we mistake the Atma to be the doer. But somehow we are able to accept the fact that the tree is asatyam. Correct? Tree is asatyam. But we cannot take the physical body to be asatyam because it is entwined. This concept of ahankara is so hardened. It is difficult to separate it. You cannot imagine something without the ahankara being there. Correct? And ahankara is, what does it want to do? It wants a place to survive. Correct? It wants a place to thrive. So whenever it finds a place or an environment or a particular condition suitable for it, it will continue to thrive there. It will continue to become stronger. That's why this word sam atmanaha sam shrutihi means this superimposition will continue forever till one comes out of it. Then dhyayati iva shrutihi vadati. So dhyayati iva means, the word iva indicates that this samsara is only an appearance, dhyayati. So dhyayati means that which is meditated or that which is seen or experienced, but it is not the truth. So this we saw in the last class, but I thought summarize this. Naustasya pratilongena naganam gamanam yatha atmanas samshuddhi tadvat dhyayati iva dhyayati hi shrutihi. So dhyayati iva hi shrutihi. So this is okay. Is it clear, this verse? This verse is clear to you, Pushpa ji? Okay. Have you got any questions, Pushpa ji, on this one? You have to unmute. You okay? Okay. Subbu, you okay with that? Able to follow?
Yes, Shankar. No problem.
If you got any question, just raise your hand. Then we will. I know I will take it up from there. So next we'll go to number 4. Chaitanya pratibhimbena vyapto bodho hi jayate Chaitanya pratibhimbena vyapto bodho hi jayate buddhai shabdadibir basastataha Buddhe shabdadibir basastataha te namo muhyate jagat tena momuhyate jagat. So Chaitanyam Pratibimbena Vyapto Bodho hi Jayate. Buddhaihi Shabda Adihi Basaha Basastaha Tena Moha Muhyate Jagat. So this is the word we are seeing. So Buddhi gets the expression of consciousness in whichever object it assumes. So whenever Buddhi encounters the five sensory perceptions, sensory organs, example, Rupaha, Rasaha, Gandhaha, Sparshaha, Shabdaha, right? It assumes that particular object and it continues to perform like this. So when Buddhi connects itself to Shabdaha, it becomes what? Shabda Anuvitta Savikalpa Samadhi. Hope you remember Dirdish Viveka. Shabda Anuvitta Savikalpa Samadhi, Drishya Anuvitta Savikalpa Samadhi. So that which is Anuvitta, that which becomes that, and it becomes Savikalpaha. It gets divided. How it gets divided? Because the Buddhi is, first of all, is actually only a reflection of the Atma. Right? So Pratibimbena. So Pratibimbaha means what? Bimbam means image. And Pratibimbena means it is a reflected consciousness or reflection of the Atma. So Atma lends existence to the mind, and because of that it becomes sentient. And it becomes sentient, the Buddhi connects itself to an appropriate object, depending upon what you see. So the sensory organ called the eye will connect to any object which is to be perceived. At that time, the ear is not connected to that particular object, only the sensory organ. Right? So when you have sparsham, the particular Buddhi is connected and you feel the pain or you feel the softness, etc. When you feel the taste of food, the Buddhi tells that this food is sour, it is sweet, it is bitter. So all those things which are there, it reveals itself in that form. Right? So whatever the mind means an object of knowledge. It assumes a particular form of the object. Okay. So an example you can give you also. Water, if you take the water in the river, it's a free-flowing water. It doesn't have any form because it's just water. But the same water, you take a bucket and then dip in the river and take it. And now it becomes what? A bucket of water. Previously, there was no form. Now, the water has taken a form called a bucket. So what has happened? The Shuddha Chaitanyam eye, consciousness, got connected with the mind, and now it is traveling as the borrowed eye, borrowed consciousness. Same way here also, the water also, which was pure, no form, now takes the form of the bucket, and it continues as the name called bucket of water. So the content water has not changed, correct? The content water has not changed, but the form has changed and the object has changed. If the same bucket of water, you again take it in a mug or in a glass bottle, it will assume the size of the bottle. But has the content changed? The content does not change. So in the same way, Atma also here connects itself to the Buddhi. And this Buddhi or the intellect, the topic of the subject is Buddhi Aparadha Prakarana, correct? Or the mistakes committed by the intellect. So the Buddhi connects itself to the object of knowledge and it assumes the particular form and it illumines the particular form. So same way also you can see the Vayu and also the fire also. So if you look at space, space is one big space. But when I build huge block of land, which is open space, you can see everything clearly now. But in the same space, now I'm actually constructing a huge building, and I divide it into multiple rooms. And what do I get? I get a new name called a building, a structure. And within a structure, I got multiple rooms called bedroom, living room, etc., study room. All of them are rooms within, but the space itself doesn't change. The space is still the same. But what is done is space has assumed now a form called a building and different rooms. So when I remove the structure, do you mean there's new space created? No. The space is already there. But space was divided. There's a division caused by this erroneous perception. So that's what it says here. So I want to give a summary first before we go to this one. So Chaitanyaha Pratibimbena, also referred as Chidabhasaha or Chitchaya. Chitchaya Aveshataha. Divdishvika, we have what's called Chitchaya Aveshataha. So due to the influence or due to the infusion of this brilliance or the intelligence into the mind by the Atma, this mind continues to operate on its own, and all the actions which are being performed thereafter becomes an act by the ahamkara. So whenever the mind is connected with the consciousness, mind has got the ahamkara rises first. So aham kritihi is the first one to rise. I. So if you look at really the word I itself doesn't do anything, right? So when you are doing Shravanam, you are the listener, correct? I am the listener. Then when you do Mananam, I am doing the Shravanam. So now the same I has changed from being listener to a person who is listening again for correction, correct? Then when you do Nidhyasanam, same I again now changed to Nidhyasanam I. Correct? So the Ahankara has got changed itself. But if you look at all of them, I am the seeker, I am the knower, I am the experiencer, the I does not change at all. The attributes of the I keeps changing, correct? So in any action you do, I am the doer when you say, if you do not know what the I is, but if you take the I to be the body mind sense complex, then you do not know the I. You left the I long time behind. Whereas in every action you do, you understand that I, the Atma, the consciousness, is present as the illuminator. Then you do not make the mistake. That's why Chaitanya Pratibimbena. Right? So because of this false perception, the Karta becomes a doer and he enjoys doership. Then Vyapto Bodho hi Jayate. So Vyaptaha means what? Pervaded. Vyaptihi or Vyapital, when I say Tamil, it means that which is pervaded, that which is engulfed. Bodho hi jayate. So bodha means what? That which is known, perceived. So due to this perception, due to this pervading of the consciousness in the mind, knowledge is perceived by the person. So knowledge is possible to perceive only in the mind, right? Without the mind, pure knowledge cannot be experienced. Hope you are following me. Without the mind, pure consciousness cannot be experienced, cannot be known. And like in deep sleep state, pure consciousness, even though it is there, it is still not available for recognition or transactional purpose. Why? Because the reflecting medium in the mind is not there at that time. It is resolved. Right? So, Ekadasha Indriyani. Ekadasha Indriyani is what? Pancha Karma Indriyas, Pancha Jnana Indriyas, and Manaha, the mind. So, there are 11 Indriyams which are there. Those things are not, they are resolved, including the mind, which is the controller of the 5 different Indriyas, Karma Jnana Indriyas. It is resolved. Thereby, no vritti is rising, no cognition is possible, no experience is possible. And because of that, you do not know you are there, number one. Right? Not knowing you are there, you do not know. So you have total ignorance and you are enjoying the bliss because the reflecting medium, the mind, is not available for connection. Oh, so you said mistake the Atma as a doer. Okay. So what it means, see, whenever Atma is Chaitanya, pure Chaitanya, correct? Atma is called pure Chaitanya. And Atma and the mind has got a natural connection. It's called Sahaja Tadatmiyam. It is something which you cannot separate physically. Because the way it is connected is the moment you rise, you wake up in the morning, mind also is infused automatically. Whether you like it or not, you cannot separate it. So you can only understand it cognitively, physically you cannot separate, just as the heat and the fire cannot be separated, correct? Physically can separate because the heat is the swarupam of the fire. Pushpaji, is it correct? Will you follow? I'm addressing a question. I just saw a chat just now. So Atma being Chaitanyam, being consciousness, is not available for recognition. It is not available for experiencing. It is not transactable because it has got no attributes. It has got nothing called to be known. So how is it known? Only because of the association with the mind. So Chaitanyaha Pratibimbena. So the first word, Chaitanyam, when it gets connected to the manifesting medium called the mind, it becomes a Pratibimbaha. Means a copy of the mind, of the Atma. So it takes all the attributes or some of the attributes which it can absorb and it becomes an illuminator. So because the mind now becomes illuminator, naturally the mind is supposed to be the one which is the strongest, correct? And the one that which controls all the aspects of our functioning of the physical body, the organs, sense organs, everything, correct? Buddhi also is controlled by the mind. So when the mind takes control of that, it operates as the Atma itself, as a copy of the Atma itself. And due to this superimposition by the mind on the Atma, the mind gets a new name called Chidabhasaha. Hope you are following me? It's called Chidabhasaha, means Chidabhasaha, means it's actually the mind itself is infused with this consciousness, it becomes the illuminator now. And due to this aspect of Chidabhasaha or this Chit-chaya, so chaya means shadow, right? A shadow of the Atma. So shadow of the Atma is the one which actually makes us do the actions. So the mind, what does it do? It tells you that you are the body, you are the karma indriyas, you are the jnana indriyas, I am this person. So when you have this ahamkara, which gives rise to this, it makes you do the actions as the doer. So when you become the doer, all the karmas which you do are going to give you punyam and papam. The results are going to come to you. So the whole cycle starts. So punyam comes, then papam comes, then you don't have much time left there, you pass away, another set of punyam comes, same thing continues. Right? So this Chaitanyam Pratibhimbhena is the one which is responsible for the samsara. Okay. And how does it do? Vyaptaha budbodho hi jayate. So this is pervaded by the consciousness. And when it's pervaded by consciousness, it gets illuminated. Right. And it becomes the de facto illuminator. It becomes illuminator. And this is a second illuminator, not the first illuminator. The first illuminator is Sakshi or the consciousness, correct? So far you with me, right? First illuminator is Sakshi. Due to the connection between the mind and the Sakshi, which is Tadatmiyam, which is natural and it is a Swarupam of the same thing, it now gets a name called Chidabhasa. So it's only a name. Right? It's only a name which has come as an offshoot of this. And due to the Chidabhasa getting a name called, it continues to all the activities under that particular name. All the karmas are being done, all the doership is done, and because of that, we go through samsara. Okay, this is the first meaning of the Chaitanyaha Pratibhimbhena Vyapto Bodho hi Jayate. Okay. Then, Buddhehe Shabda Adi Basataha. So, Buddhehe Shabda Adi Basataha. It means what? In the same way, Shabdaha, you see, give an example of Shabdaha. So sound is taken as an example here as a reflection of consciousness. So sound is what? Is reflection of consciousness. Sound itself doesn't have an independent thing of its own. Assuming that you're in the waking state, you can hear my voice and I can hear you talk also, the sound traveling. But this sound which is there is only a second illuminator. Correct? Because sound itself is coming through because the mind is buddhi is present there. The buddhi is the one which is illuminating sound, and the buddhi also is the one which gets illuminated by Chaitanya. So we saw before Chaitanya Pratibhimbhena, right? Bodhohi Vyapto Bodhohi Jayate. So here also, but the sound is taken as the Satyam. So when you say sound, we do not analyze as to what the sound is. We take the sound or the words to be the Satyam. Because whatever comes out of the mouth is taken to be the correct one. Satyam Vada, we say, Satyam Vada, when you say, it means what? You speak the truth. It means what? Speak the truth of what is the correct one. It does not mean speak the truth means you should understand what truth is. See, if you don't understand what the truth is, how will you say Satyam Vada? Satyam Vada means there it talks about speak the truth about what the Atma is. Speak the truth about who you are. That's what it means. So the sound is taken as Satyam and is enjoyed as ultimate happiness. But Chaitanyam or this consciousness is only taking a form as the sound. When we see an object, the same Chaitanyam is seen through the mind and it connects to the object of knowledge called a rose or a flower. And then the particular object is connected, correct? So same way, taste, smell, touch, all of them are only pratibimbaha of the Chaitanya. See, pratibimbaha is a very important word because it is only a reflection of the consciousness which is available for perception through the pancha karmendriyas, jnanendriyas and manaha. But these 11 are not Shashwatam, these 11 are not permanent, which we've seen before. So whichever is there, if you have a Panchakosha, supposing if you have a very strong Dehatma Buddhi, I am a very beautiful person, then this beautiful person is attributed to what? It is to a Dehatma. So this notion, the vritti called I am beautiful, is now being taken as Satyam because it is only this particular notion, vritti is given by the mind, correct? This particular notion about I am beautiful vritti, a beautiful vritti is what? Is thought, is given by the mind. So there the mind also is not forgotten. People don't even think about it. At that time only what thinks? I am beautiful. Correct? My sundar hu. Whatever. So it means what? That I am beautiful, this concept is there and the person continues to live with that beautiful concept saying that I am the most beautiful person, and he or she continues to live in that philosophy that I had to look beautiful. So what does it do? All the things which are required for making beautiful is being followed by the person, right? Like makeups, what you do, getting nice fitness, getting into shape, all of them is contributing to this called beautiful attribute. At that time, the mind also is not thought about. See, Vedanta only talks about at that level. When you start going at the lowest level called the Panchakosha, so you remain at the Panchakosha level for some time. Some people will take Annamaya Kosha as the truth. Some people take Pranamaya Kosha as the truth. Some take Manomaya Kosha as the truth. Right? Some take Anandamaya Kosha as the truth. So they all have different types of perception, and the buddhi gets connected to this particular thought or to this particular medium, and it gets reflected in the particular way. Thus, Atma does not get connected at all because Atma does not have any shape. Akaraha. It is Nirakaraha. See, Atma is Nirakaraha, means it has got no shape. But when Atma gets connected to mind, it assumes the shape of the object it is connecting to. Through the mind, manifesting medium. Hope you are able to follow, right? Just an example told you that the water itself is got Nirakaraha. It has got no shape. Fire has got no shape. Can fire has got a shape? Has got no shape. But the moment you kindle a fire and you enclose it, like a log of wood, you just rise it nicely. What does the fire do? The fire now takes the form of the log, correct? So you can have a vertical log, or you can have, mound of log like this, round like this. So what does the fire do? The fire starts to now go around the objects and it takes the form of the object, correct? So what do you say now? Round fire, circular fire, right? All of them we say. But when the fire in the original form, it doesn't have any shape, it doesn't have no shape. But because of the association of the object, that particular fire takes that particular form and is visible in that form. And what do we see? We take that form as Satyam, we forget the fire. See, the Dibdhishavaka's example of what Tapta Pindaha. So the iron ball is example given there. The iron ball, dark iron ball, it is very cold, right? An iron ball, right? It's very cold because if you touch the iron ball, it will be very cold. It will not. But when the same iron ball now is being heated in fire, it is now kept heated in fire for a very long time, then what does it do? The iron ball now gets illumined, right? Okay, following, right? Iron ball, see, that's why you refer to text, very important, because I keep if you don't study the other previous text, you'll find it difficult. See, in Dibdishivika, we talked about that, right? So, the iron ball now is heated extremely high temperature. The iron ball now, takes the form of the fire, right? So it becomes very red in color. The iron ball itself was actually not illuminating at all. In the dark room, if you just put in the dark room, iron ball, you don't even know it's there. But when the blacksmith comes and then he starts putting it in the iron ball in the heat, then it starts to become brilliant and the iron ball emits radiance. Now the radiance, is it part of the iron ball or does it belong to the fire? The radiance doesn't belong to the iron ball, correct? The radiance belongs to the fire, and the fire now has got infused brilliance into the iron ball. Thereby the iron ball now becomes illuminated. Hope you're able to follow, right? The fire, which has the original illuminator, infused its heat into the iron ball, and iron ball now takes the form of the fire, and it is seen as a red iron ball. And the iron ball now illumines the entire space. So you can see every object in the space because the iron ball now is very hot. Now, the fire itself is different, correct? The fire has only transferred the heat into the iron ball and the fire is still intact, it is still there. Now, this heated ball, how long will it retain the heat? As long as there is a connection with the fire, correct? As long as there is fire there and you're keeping on hitting the ball, it will be there. The moment you remove the heat and you keep the ball aside for some time, will the ball be always hot? It will lose its tendency to become hot. It will again become cold. Correct? So it will again retain the shape. It will become the shape of the black iron ball again, and it will fail to illumine the surroundings. But the fire continues to exist irrespective of the ball being there or not. Is it correct? Hope you're following Jay, right? The fire continues to exist irrespective of the ball being there or not, because the fire need not heat the ball. Okay. The fire can remain the fire as it is. The heat can remain inside the fire as it is. Both of them cannot be separated, because the heat and the fire are inseparable. But they can be separated by how? By understanding the transmission to which it is transmitted, correct? Unless you put the finger in the fire, that's the time when you know the fire is hot. Till such time you do not know the fire is hot, correct? See, by practice we know the fire is hot. Now, because we have been burned several times, we cook so many times, and the food, when it becomes hot, we like to eat the hot sambar or something. When the same food becomes cold, would you like to eat it? You do not like to eat it. What do? You can go to the microwave, or you again reheat it, and then heat gets transferred again, and then that heat is what is used. So it is a folly or a mistake to assume the reflection which is caused by the transfusion of the Atma into the mind to be the Satyam. It is a mistake, just as taking the iron ball's reflection to be Satyam, same way it's a mistake, is a folly or superimposition of the Atma over all these inanimate objects and claiming that that is to be Satyam is incorrect. So Buddhehe Shabdhadi Abhasaha, Bhasaha means in the example given is Shabdaha. So Shabda Anuvitta Savikalpa Samadhihi means that which is associated or that which is reflected as a division because Shabdaha. Shabdaha is the sound which is travels. is also possible because of the infusion of consciousness in the mind, and the mind actually pervades the sound object or the sensory organ or the power that reflects the sound. Because of that, sound is possible. But the sound itself is not Satyam, because sound itself is only a reflecting medium. The original source is coming from the mind, and the mind itself is again taken from Chaitanya Pratibimbaha. Correct? So it's only reflection. So that is how you arrive at it. See, physically you cannot do anything. You cannot say that I will keep my mouth shut and there will be no sound. It is possible that there will be no sound, but something else will come. If you just keep on closing your mouth forever like this, so it is not practically possible also. Right? So understanding this cognitively, what it says here, physically you cannot separate these things. Just as physically you cannot separate the wave and the water, physically you cannot separate the Nama Rupa called ocean from the water. You have to only understand that water being Satyam and ocean is only a name given to the ocean. Like you got Arctic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, Dead Sea, Black Sea, Red Sea, all of them are given there. They are all only given names which are appearing for a particular phenomenon called water in different countries. But the source, water, is still the same. It does not change. So whichever object it assumes, that particular object, it takes a form. So if you have a car vritti, the object gets known as car. So that is what it says here, that vyapto bodho hi jayate. So it's pervaded by a reflection of consciousness, and this knowledge is perceived in the mind. Bodho hi jayate. So example also, this knowledge which is there, not even aham janami also is a I know. I know what it is. Also it's an illusion. Aham janami, aham brahmasmi also is cognition only. Right? What is aham brahmasmi? Aham brahmasmi is what is a cognition that I am the Brahman. It is also ahankara. It's also a vritti only which is manifesting. So all these are actually what is only a vritti or a thought which is manifested through the mind, which itself is illumined by consciousness. So that is the meaning of the word vyapto. So 3 letters. Chaitanya pratibhimbena vyapto bodho hi jayate buddhehe shabd adi basataha. So shabdehe adi basataha means what? Example, mudaliyavai, etc. So shabdaha adi means you can take shabdaha, you can take sparshaha, rupaha, rasaha, gandaha. All of them, any corresponding thing which is manifested is through this particular thing called the mind, which is illumined by consciousness. So tena mo muhyate jagat. So tena mo muhyate jagat. So muhyate or moha means what? Delusion. Correct. Moham means delusion. And mo muhyate means what? Maha delusion or the greatest delusion. The one who is totally deluded or greatly deluded is called mo muhyate. So what is Jagat? This Jagat also is in this form. It is an appearance. It is not the truth. It is as though the truth, but not the absolute truth. So I falsely perceive this world to be the truth. I falsely perceive this world to be what it is, and I continue to interact it as a Satyam. But we all know through the deep sleep analysis or the Avasthatraya Prakriya that this world is not there always. This world is different in every state. In the waking state, the world is as you perceive. The dream state, half of the world is not there for you. Why? Because only Ardha Jnanam is there. Half knowledge is manifest, not Purna Jnana. See, in waking state, there is Purna Jnana. You are able to understand everything, you are able to negate everything, can do everything. But in Swapna Prapanchaha, it's only the mind that works. Your prana is working as usual, everything there. But your karma indriyas are not working, correct? Physical body or any of the actions, you're not walking from there. With your dream, you're not going anywhere. See, in your dream, you can go from here to India also without COVID restrictions. You can just go travel. You can enjoy all these things. You can assume there's no border. But in physically, you cannot do it. So it's only in dream, it is possible for you to do that. So in the dream also, the world changes, correct? The universe which you're perceiving is different from what you see in the waking state. Is it correct? Because it is not the same thing what you see. It is something which you want to see or you want to experience, you want to enjoy as what you like the world to be or what you like to be who you are. Correct? So that is different to what you see in the waking state. And what you see tomorrow in the waking state will also be different from what you see today. Correct? And tomorrow's dream also will be different from what you saw yesterday. So this is a continuous change of things always there. And how do you know these two things? You know this only by analysis of the deep sleep state called Shushupti Avastaha. So Shushupti in deep sleep state, neither this Jagat is there for you, neither dream is also there for you. You are not there as a dreamer, you are not there as a waker, but you are there as that person who was a waker, who was a dreamer, always there. So the I, which was called dreamer, I called a dreamer, I called a waker, got qualified as different names, right? So this one I gets qualification called a waker, one I gets qualified as the dreamer. The same I now, without qualification, has merged into consciousness. So the same I now has got no qualities, or without qualities, so divisionless. So when you have divisions, then you have all the Vedaha. If you don't have any divisions, then this complete full Chaitanya. So that's what it says here, that Chaitanyam pratibhimbena vyapto bodho hi jayate buddhaihi shabdadi basataha tena mo mukhyate jagat. So in this way, the people who have got wrong ideas, wrong perception, they get deluded and they continue to follow this, chase this particular phenomenon called the world. They live in this imaginary world called the world like this, and they get deluded, they get affected by it without any recourse. Hope you're able to follow it so far. Because see, this is all you would have heard before, but as I told you, each of the small prakranam, it brings out some small things it clarifies. It doesn't give you already may know, oh, but there will be new things coming up. Like the I itself is not subject to change. But when I becomes a waker, becomes I am the waker, correct? When I becomes a dreamer, I am the dreamer. When I goes to deep sleep state, I am a sleeper, correct? But in all of them, you can never remove the I, right? The I only keeps changing position depending upon what is the state of the mind. So when the mind is ready as a waker, it becomes waker. When I becomes the dreamer, it becomes dreamer. So I only keeps changing the qualities, but I remains the same. So depending upon what it gets connected, it gets a name. Same way, and the same consciousness, when it pervades through the mind, it illumines an object of knowledge, which is, it takes the form of that particular shape. So example could be this room which has got light. depending upon the space of the room, the light takes that particular form. If I divide the wall, then the light will only pervade only one section of the particular thing. So it always illumines that particular upadhi or the particular object of knowledge which is required to illuminate. But that itself is not dependent on any of these things. The light itself is not dependent on the manifesting medium. The light is independent of it. Is it clear? Any questions so far? So next week we are going to, I'm going to elaborate more on this topic because I need to clarify about ahamkara and atma. Because these two appear to be same. There's very little difference between the two. So I need to elaborate a little bit more to understand this verse for you, where how we make the mistake of ahankara and atma, because they both have the same capability called illumining. See, atma is also self-illumining, correct? And the ahankara also is illumining. So how do we know the two? Both have got the same capacity to illumine. So we mistake one for the other. So how do we mistake? How do we not make the mistake? So how do we take only that to be the truth and remove the other things? So for that, there are some examples to be given and some method of unfoldment is there, which I will cover next class. Any question from today's class? Anyone has got? Subbu, are you clear so far?
Yes, Shankar. No problem.
Srikanji, you're okay following so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Jaishankar, you got anything?
Yeah, no question.
Okay. So the next class we'll see how the ahankara and atma has got the concept called illumining and how this has to be understood. Then verse 5 should be fairly simple because it is not that complicated. The summary of all the chapters there, we should be able to complete in next class, verse 4 and 5. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tatsat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. See, for those of you, there's a class at 4:30 for Vishnu Sahasranama. So those who are already attending, you can attend at 4:30. Then we have another class at 7:45 for the 8 o'clock for the Bhagavad Gita today. Harihi Om.